Hey world, welcome to the Sherese Nicole Podcast. I created this space where I'll discuss life lessons, personal stories, observations, unsolicited advice, and ramblings that go on in my chattering mind. Every so often, I will pull in guests to provide different perspectives and discuss a range of topics from nutrition to travel and all things in between. So without further ado, let's get into it. This episode is hella insecure because I want to talk about what I've been experiencing as a creator and just like all the questions and doubts and fears that I've had circling through my mind and just how it's been driving me crazy. And I just kind of summed it up to being insecure. So I want to get into that. But a little background on, this episode today is, so for those who know me out there, you guys know that I'm a pretty structural person. Like I like to know what I'm getting into when I'm getting into it. And, I'm the type of girl that's like, okay, well, where are we going on this day? What time? When are we meeting? Like, I just like structure. It just makes me feel good. I like, making appointments for things, and I like putting in my calendar, it just makes me feel good. But that being said, I like to balance it with some spontaneity. Oh, I can't say that word. Spontaneity. I find that like when I travel, I'm more relaxed and stuff. But, if you had to ask me what's my personality type, am I more of the organized or am I more go with the flow? I'm definitely more organized. And I say that to say I had written out like 10 episodes that I wanted to record for this season. And with that, I had like the names already created and like the notes that I was going to say, or the talking points basically for each of those episodes. But I had created, so this was not the second episode. This is very spontaneous of me to create this because I was having so much trouble recording the episode that I really wanted to make. I think I'd recorded it maybe 2 or 3 times and it just wasn't working. It wasn't flowing. I was, getting annoyed when I would think about having to go back and re-record. I just didn't want to. I was postponing it. I was holding it off. I was what is the word that I'm looking for, but I can't remember. Anyways, I just really wasn't into it. I didn't want to do it and it was hard. And then I was like, I thought to myself, I was like, well, if it's so hard, maybe I should do something that feels easy. I shouldn't be afraid to switch it up. So I was like, okay, clearly either I have to go through those talking points again and, change it around so that it makes more sense when I'm talking it out, or scrap the whole idea in general and just start again. But with that came this topic because I was like, I'd rather talk about this and this comes easier to me right now in this moment. So this is what I'm going to be talking about. So as a creator, I question whether I'm reaching my audience in a useful way. Like, am I providing them true value? Should I be doing more, maybe saying less? My content over the years has shaped and shifted in so many ways. And I just feel like in the beginning, it was a burst of energy and creativity and sort of like this newness to it, because it was like, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was just doing it. And I felt like I was more of myself. And then, when it started to get more eyes and when I started to get like feedback and stuff like that, and, some hate comments, I started to compare myself. And then I started to kind of water and filter myself down. And there was a point in time where I felt like I had to uphold a certain cadence or a certain style of my content, which also messed with what I was putting out. And then again, like it just threw me into a downward spiral of questions like, what can I change? Should I change this? But then, as of late, I was like, you know what? I'm tired and I just want to be who I am, who I truly am. And if people like me, then they can come with. If there's people that are just only solely following me for like the food that I post, and if they get mad that I post selfies, then that's that. You know what I mean? Like basically, it's me getting to a point of just not caring what others think, but at the same time trying to give them value. And it's just like a weird place to be in right now. So I think I boil that all down to just kind of being insecure about what I am putting out. I see this whole like online thing as just a journey to being my authentic self, and being more of myself. But there's baby steps in this process. So there's, which there's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like, that's what I'm doing. I'm getting there slowly. I will get there. So to break it down and make it make more sense, because I'm speaking from the perspective of my food page. So I have a food page that was used just to record the meals that I made and to talk about health and to talk about my healing journey. And on my YouTube channel, like you can see that in visual format. So it's like I'm literally walking you through recipes I create, and I'm talking about, the supplements that I've taken and stuff. Like I'm literally pressing play or pressing record and talking about my health journey with people, and like people resonate with that and people find that useful. But with that, it's kind of created this pressure, I guess. I put pressure on myself because I was like, oh my gosh, people are actually listening to me and they want more. And now I kind of have to keep thinking about how I can service them. But, I think what started off as something that I did because it's always been about helping people, but also holding myself accountable at the same time. It kind of became more of what they want. What do they want to see? What can I do for them? And it became less about me. And when that started happening, that's when I started to look at my content like it wasn't enough and that I could be doing more. And it's funny because I just created a new blog post where I was sharing this free downloadable meal plan that I created, full with a grocery list and full recipes. And I was just like, this is for you guys. Like, I hope you like this because I asked for your, what you'd like to see from me. And I provided it to them. And I just don't want to get lost in doing what is more so what the audience wants to see, but not what I truly want to do. And so I think this podcast is one way where I'm like taking back my own sense of self, because this is something that I truly want to do. And it's like, I'm not going to be talking about food the whole time on this thing because I don't want to talk about it all the time. But I just have to get to a point where I can balance with myself the content that I'm creating and knowing that it's enough. Knowing that it's enough and that it's okay if I don't do it all or if I don't create this and that. I think it's about like also letting go of the fear that I will lose followers because I'm not holding up to their standards of me or what I should provide. And so I say all this again because I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw a post by Alicia Keys, whose audiobook I just finished listening to. It's called More Myself. And basically what in the post she was saying, I'm not responsible for other people's perception of me. And while that's something that I've heard of before, it's so easy to get lost in when you're in the moment of it. So like myself, I took myself out of the equation and it became more about, what are people thinking about me? How can I continue to tell that story of what I think they created about me in their minds so that I don't disappoint them? But then it became less about myself. And then in becoming less of myself, I started to feel, unfulfilled and unsatisfied. And then I started to then look at my work as less than, and that it should be more about this and more about that, which was taking away from me. So you understand, like the more that I did what they wanted, the less I was doing what I wanted and needed. So that was taking away from me, and that was creating this insecure breeding ground of just like, well, is it worth it? Do I even have anything to share? But I think what I'm trying to get at in this post or in this podcast is that it all starts from the self. Like it all is about the self and like what I perceive to be as true and what value I want to share and what I think is great, which, it's like, it's not that I don't think I have anything worth saying. It's that when I think and get caught up with what other people are thinking, then that's when I start to look at my work as less than. And that's never the case. It should never be the case. But what I'm really working at is letting go of this concept that I need to take on the opinions of others, whether it be about myself or my work, and just being more grounded and firm about what I do believe and assured about the value that I provide. And that's it. No more, no less. Like it's not that hard. It's not that difficult. It's quite simple. It just kind of also boils down to just me being on this journey to my authentic self, and like these are the bumps in the road that I'm gonna have to go through to get there. When I hear other people or see them online, I can feel their energy. I just know that they are so confident in themselves and they don't care about what anyone else thinks. And I just think that is like the bravest thing, and I aspire to be just like that myself one day. And I think really to be online, or not even if you're online, like to just be a human in this world, it takes a lot of confidence and courage really to be your true authentic self, and to do that unapologetically, you know? So it's just really it's a growth period. It's a process. It's daily. It's something that I'm gonna have to work to do and keep reminding myself of. And I just wanted to talk about how I've been thinking about it and how I'm trying to navigate it myself, and it's just like a continuous thing. And it even started even so early on in this podcast where I talk about I had a set schedule in place, because I thought that those topics would be better to talk about. But I mean, even with every podcast, I'm going to realize that I'm going to have to do this kind of internal dialogue with myself, where I'm not that I'm proving what I have to say is worthy, but where I'm just like okay with letting go of what others may perceive of me. I just have to be okay with it. I just have to allow it and let it flow, instead of, being so like tied to it. And it's like, okay, I can't say this, or I can't talk about that in this way, because then they're going to think about, like, I literally, that is sometimes the process of my mind. And it's so annoying because it's not my responsibility to think about what you think about me. It's not my responsibility to correct the story that you created in your mind about me. And it's like, as long as I know that, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what you think about it. As long as I know that, that's all that matters. So I just wanted to get on here and share that insight and thought process with you and with the listeners out there, because I know that other people go through this. And again, you don't have to be a content creator. You don't have to have a blog or have a YouTube to be experiencing this. But it's just take time for yourself and really ask yourself, like, who am I living this life for? Who am I doing everything for? And be fully conscious and aware, and I guess find the value in the worth in your own self. Don't look for it in the opinions of others, or don't look for that affirmation within others about your content, about your stance, about your opinion on things. It's really not needed. I don't know how I grew up to think that I needed to wait on others to know my self-worth, or to know that I had value to share with the world. So it's, again, a continuous daily task. It is my responsibility to work on that for myself. And, I think it's all of our responsibilities to do that for ourselves. So I just want to pop in real quick, a very spontaneous podcast episode, because this was not supposed to be episode number 2, but I'm gonna roll with it because that's how I'm feeling right now. And I hope this made sense, but if it didn't, that's okay, because I'm trying not to care what you think. I mean, I still care, but I'm trying to do less caring is what I'm trying to say. Anyways, I'm starting to ramble, so I'm gonna wrap this up, and until next time.